Welcome back, Wolfpack Gorillas here, and this is how to use Ho-Oh. So Ho-Oh, legendary Pokemon, legendary stats, craziness going for it, and that's going to show with a 154 special defense, so like Lugia, very high special defense, and 106 hit points. So especially, you don't have to worry about much, and then 90 on the defense means we're still going to be very tanky. Like 90 defense, 106 hit points, very strong by all means, and then we can just kind of look, 90 speed, not super insane, not going to outspeed Lugia or anything, but we're still also looking at decent speed here with a lot of tankiness, and then we have high amount of attack. 130 attack means we're just going to be bulk attacking. 110 special attack means we can even go for some special options, and Ho-Oh is just going to work out really well. Look at its typing, Fire Flying. Fire Flying solid, I mean Water Electric weakness, that's not that bad, but a 4 times weakness to Rock. So our trade-off is we do have a pretty heavy 4 times weakness that we have to worry about. If Stealth Rock's a setup, Ho-Oh's in trouble, any kind of setup like that. But then we also have a lot of resistances. Ground immunity, and then a Fighting Bug, Steel, Fire, Grass, and Fairy with a quarter resistance of Grass. So I mean, everything's going to be pretty solid right here for Ho-Oh as long as you're not encountering rocks. We're tanky enough to survive some water and electric hits. So that's going to be pretty solid. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we're going to lead with the Choice Scarf Ho-Oh. And this is just going to be pretty standard. We max out the speed. We go with an Adamant Nature. That way we're pushing our damage. That, you know, if you have a Choice Scarf, it's also good to just go with that offensive nature. And that's going to be very powerful right there. And then we go into Brave Bird and Sacred Fire. What makes Ho-Oh work so well is that offensively, it just has high base damage. Brave Bird, huge stab, huge physical hit. And we also have Sacred Fire, again, for just huge physical hit right there. And a 50% chance to burn. That's just silly right there. So we come in, we go for that coverage, Earthquake and Iron Head, just a little bit extra right there. Iron Head, good against Fairy type Pokemon that if we don't want to take Brave Bird recoil, we can get the most damage out of that. Also, Ho-Oh doesn't really have too much else physically to do. That's mainly just going to be Earthquake, Sacred Fire, and Brave Bird. So just adding that little bit of tech helps in. Maybe Aerial Ace if you are really worried about evasion boosting. That Aerial Ace really won't take too much from the set, and also does give you a flying option that isn't Brave Bird if you don't want to like break yourself against another opponent. And that's pretty simple. That we outspeed, we can take 2 or 3 hits. So we're just going to like scarf into that Brave Bird and hope for the best and get as much damage as possible. Because 130 attack using Brave Bird. I mean, Talonflame has a much lower attack, and we know that it does some silliness with some damage. So now we can just scale that up to Ho-Oh and let your imagination run wild. And then we have Life Orb Ho-Oh, but I came up with a different idea with Flame Charge. So Flame Charge, 100% chance to raise the user's speed by 1, and that's going to be our speed boosting. That instead of having to worry about a Scarf, we can just Flame Charge once, and then we're good to go. Now we are taking that extra damage, but that's what Roost is for. Without Scarf, we are safe to Roost, so we can get a lot of health back. We are still very bulky, so we can play around that. And I was thinking Life Orb, that way we're maxing out our damage. We can still go with something else like a Citrus Berry. That way we're getting the most of our health back. That say we take a huge hit while we're setting up that Flame Charge, Citrus Berry is going to pull us back up. That's going to give us room to Brave Bird into Roost, and it's just going to keep us very healthy overall. Sacred Fire with all that, and yeah, we just outspeed what we need to, maybe even try to build up on the tankiness that we can just go for max hit points against a Pokemon that's not directly threatening us, go for 2 Flame Charges. I mean, we still have high amount of damage. Flame Charge is getting stabbed with that 50 base power. Using it twice is going to be like using 1 Sacred Fire, and that's going to be nice. So once we get that speed going, we just become a full-fledged sweeper, and that's really it. So that could be very powerful. Also, Ho-Oh, remember, we did have a good special attack stat. We did have a really good defensive stats, so we can just also go for Calm Mind and Will-O-Wisp. Ho has Will-O-Wisp, so that's going to make our defense really awesome, and then we can just Calm Mind up, and now we don't have to really worry about too much. So we burn them, that means our lower defense gets patched up. We go for some Calm Minds, and then we have Roost. So as long as we don't get Toxic, we can't get burned because we're a Fire-type Pokemon. That's going to be solid. I like the idea of Citrus Berry. You can also run Lumberry, that way you can wear off some status. This set can also deal with a Lumberry as well, that way if they try to paralyze you, hey, that's a free Flame Charge, because now your Lumberry is going to patch that up. And then we just kind of wait for the Flamethrower. Now this can get Flash Fired. That's kind of it. So you just try to set up really high special attack, get a lot of boosting on your side, use that Flamethrower once you're at like +3, +4, because it should be a really easy setup with Will-O-Wisp, Calm Mind. And when you break it down, it's kind of like a Sableye. That, like with Mega Sableye, you know, we have very high defenses. Sableye has low hit points, so having the higher hit points going to be better overall for our boosting. And then we just burn them, we status them as we need, we set up a bajillion Calm Minds, and then we just win. So it just shows that Ho-Oh is more of the outright attacker compared to Lugia, still has some good setup options. And as for Regenerator, Regenerator is going to be very powerful when you have access to it. So Regenerator with this set, you Brave Bird, you take a lot of damage back, and then you just kind of switch out. Regenerator is going to heal that up. bring in Ho-Oh when you need to, and you just have this really strong Brave Bird engine or Sacred Fire, you know. If you need to 2-hit KO Pokemon, hit, you take a hit, then you switch out Regenerator, going to bring a third of your maximum hit points back, and that's really it. So a lot of the good options here for Ho-Oh, very powerful, can be very strong as an offensive Pokemon against other legendaries. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's how you use Ho-Oh, and I hope you all have a nice day.